The Flood Protection Authority is very excited about this project. This is the first time since 1890 that we have allowed murals on the flood walls. So we are glad to support this community project. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see the finished products.
This project came about as a few artists and myself were having these conversations for long before Katrina, since like about 2000, about doing something fantastic on the flood wall uptown, located along Tchoupitoulas Street. We thought it'd be a great community project. It'd be a great way to beautify the city. We're really hoping that we'd have it done in time for the city's 300-year anniversary coming up next year, but still getting it done we think is going to be a great thing for the community and something really wonderful for us to see and share for like the next 50 to 100 years.
I've been a mural painter and a visual artist for 25 years. I was born and raised in New Orleans. I used to do a lot of the murals and still do a lot of murals for New Orleans Recreation Department. I do murals at schools. I do international murals in other countries and other cities as well. I just got back from Iceland doing an artist residency and exhibition there. So I've been lucky to take the New Orleans culture and my skills not just abroad, but to other countries and other communities as well.
We had to work with the Corps of Engineers, with CPRA, and with different community groups to make sure that what's going on the walls is aesthetically pleasing, fits with the community, and doesn't interfere with our ability to inspect the walls. And that's coming together perfectly.
I'm WILMA HEATON. I'm chair of the New Orleans Lakefront Airport Committee. And I'm here tonight on behalf of the Southeast Louisiana Flood Protection Authority East. We are happy to support the New Orleans International Muralist Project. The significance of this evening is this is the first time since 1890 that the Flood Authority is going to allow murals on the flood walls. And this project will be 1.5 miles on the Tchoupitoulas corridor, between Ninth Street and Josephine Street. So we're just proud to be the agency that, along with the Corps of Engineers and the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority and a whole lot of other folks, had to permit this project. And I'll let Daniel PATE give you the details about his program. But as we approach the 300th anniversary of New Orleans, we need more projects like this. There will be 25 artists that will, this is their inspiration. And Daniel PATE, if you would please come up and tell us about the New Orleans International Muralist.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everybody. Such a wonderful crowd of people here. Our lead artist and our director, JAMAR PIERRE, or JPR as he's known by most people, we got together about 8, maybe 10 years ago. We were sitting around doing some doodlings, and we decided, why not New Orleans? Why can't we have more murals in this city? And so, we kind of pitched the idea back and forth with some other artists that we knew and talked about a lot in the midst of all of our personal jobs, doing murals around town, being educators and teachers, being community activists. We just kept going back and forth. I said, why don't we start a company to try and do more murals around town? No slight to the other organizations around town that do murals, but we figured that New Orleans needed their own branding for doing murals around town. And so out of that came our company. We've done some great things already, through some other venues and around town that we're pretty proud of. You could check out all of our social media pages and whatnot for that stuff. But we decided that in order to celebrate our city's 300th anniversary, there's no better place to celebrate that than with the artist community. I know New Orleans is known for its music and its food and all these other cultural things that happen, like myself and Mardi Gras Indian. So you have all those things going on around town. But the artists themselves need to be celebrated. So we looked at the Chop Wall as a place to have this blank slate. We're hoping to do stuff out here at the Lakefront and other places around Gentilly, and in Uptown and Downtown, Lower Ninth Ward, across the canal, New Orleans East. All these blank canvases, we feel like they need to be painted. It brings all this aesthetic beauty to the city. It makes people feel alive and welcome. They're great community projects to do, and that's pretty much was our goal. So that being said, this mural that we're going to do is going to be a historic mural. We're hoping that, I was having a conversation with a gentleman earlier about, making sure everybody understands the mural's direction and can look at it as a visual timeline of all the great things that have happened in the city. From early on when the natives were here, to when Bienville came sailing up the river, all the way until when our Saints won the Super Bowl. So we're hoping to portray that pretty much across the whole line. There's also these arches by Walmart, between, I want to say, Josephine and Jackson Avenue. They were hoping to do like some small little snippets, kind of like a New Orleans Hall of Fame type of deal, maybe like comic strip. But once we get down and talk to our artists, that'll be more detail oriented. But for right now, we're just looking at getting this project started, hopefully building some, some steam, snowball effect type of deal, that we can get a lot of funding for this project. We want to be able to pay the artists, what we consider fair market price for doing murals. Lots of times artists do these great, beautiful interpretations, but they get paid like pennies for it. We're hoping to really stray away from that and pay artists what they deserve for doing art. I don't know how much Van Gogh and Picasso got paid in the olden days for doing these great works of art. Some of them, their lives were at stake, but we don't want artists to feel that way. We want artists to be able to get paid for what they do and to be happy and go out and work in the community, and still have their personal life without feeling like they're sacrificing so much. So we have this resilience piece that was created by our lead artist, J. PIERRE. And if you want us to come up, Mr. PIERRE, and speak a little bit about your piece.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I created this painting 2 years ago. This will actually be one of the tricentennial prints that will be available in 2018. And this painting tells about the diversity of all the people in New Orleans. It's called Resilience. To live in a city like New Orleans, from the Native Americans to the French to the African slaves to the Italians to the Irish, to live in a place that's full of swampland and heat and mosquitoes, and then go through all of these hurricanes and live in this environment, you have to be resilient. So I'm proud to present to you this piece, Resilience. Thank you.
So before you leave tonight, talk to Daniel. If you want to adopt an artist, if you want to help us spread the word about this project, because it will be expanding. He laughed at me. It took him a long time to get his permit, but we're going to make it worth his while now. Also, I want to do a special shout out to Messina's at the terminal. Without Messina's, we wouldn't have been able to host this event. I want to thank Messina's. They are open Tuesday through Sunday, 8 to 3, so please come out and support Messina's. And I want to also, you want to give a shout out to our great music tonight.
Painting the mural is hard work. It's dedication, lots of time. Murals can take anywhere from 3 months to a year to 2 years. Something of this magnitude is probably going to take us a good bit of time, but it's going to be wonderful and beautiful when we get towards the end of it. It's a lot of prep work, a lot of phone calls, a lot of organizing, and especially here in New Orleans, it's a bit more difficult due to the fact that it rains so much. So, weather permitting, we can get this thing done, and it'll be a great thing for the community to see.
It's a long-term project. I remember as a kid when I first started doing graffiti murals 20-something years ago, I remember always looking at that wall and wanting to paint on it. But this is a perfect time to paint on it because we're about to celebrate the 300 years of New Orleans. And to do a historical piece on that wall, I think is a perfect fit because the river is such an important part of our history and our resilience in New Orleans.
What's the difference between painting on canvas and painting a mural?
Oh, you have lots of structural situations, from anything from corrugated aluminum to wood to the chop wall, which is actually like concrete and very porous brick. So it's going to take quite a few layers of paint to make this thing come out as we want it to be, which is going to be fantastic and terrific.
What's your reaction to the Flood Authority paving the way for this project?
I think it's a great thing. I think it's could be a good symbiotic relationship for everyone, and it could be something that lasts for generations and decades to come, to be able to capture the story of Louisiana, of New Orleans in particular, and beautify the area of the flood wall, bring some color to it.
Our mural is a historic one, so we're looking at painting out the 300-year histories of New Orleans, and so it's a historic mural. Murals bring a lot of life and aesthetic beauty to a city. It's kind of sad that New Orleans hasn't taken something like this, and used it more in more public spaces and more locations where it can be beautified. There's lots of red tape you kind of have to get around to get these murals done, but they really uplift the community and really make things, better than what a community could be. Where some people see a blighted property or a naked wall, we see a blank canvas, and we're really hoping that with this, we can have more of these murals come up around the city of New Orleans.
If people have questions like more information, what should they do?
They can go to our website, floodauthority.org.